And you know what? We came out of that situation well. We're going to come out of this one too. Many of you were also in business in 2008 when the recession took place. One of the dramatic differences between 2008 and 2020 is that the finance sector and banks are sound right now. They're able to weather more of a storm. So smart business owners and their teams know this, and they know this now too, that we are going to get on the other side of this in good order. So today we're going to share with you what we're doing, not only at Grunder Landscaping Company to respond to the coronavirus, but also the companies that we're working with and the companies that we're studying. We're going to provide you with tips and tactics that you can use to keep your company on course. At the Grow Group and at Grunder Landscaping Company, we believe successful businesses are built on 4 pillars. Those 4 pillars are platform, people, processes, and profits. We have several hundred people with us on the line today from all over the United States and Canada, and you may not know that much about the Grow Group. I'm going to give you a little bit more insight right now. Grunder Landscaping Company was started in 1984 as a way for me and my younger brother Rich to make money to go to college. From that point, we built one of the best and biggest landscaping companies in the Midwest, and it serves as our living laboratory today where we test and try out and hopefully get close to perfection. Although we're never perfect, we always have a lot to learn. We work on those processes at Grunder Landscaping, and we turn around and teach those in the Grow Group. The 4 pillars that we teach from are platform, people, processes, and profits. And these are the pillars that are going to hold you up in this current situation, and these are the pillars that are going to hold you up going forward. So we're going to talk a little bit about each pillar. We're going to describe to you how it pertains to your own business. We're going to tell you what we're doing there right now with regards to the coronavirus. And Vince and Jim are going to chime in as we go along here to help us with this. It should be a great learning experience with ample time to answer questions at the end. So fasten your seatbelts. We have a lot we want to share with you, and we'll do the best we can to teach and help you along the way. That's what our goal is today, is to help you. Your platform is the foundation of your business. It is your vision, your mission, and your core values. We'll talk about each one of those here in a minute. It's also what you're selling, who you're selling it to, and how you differentiate yourself from the competition. So let's go over that again just real quickly. Your platform is the foundation of your business. It's what everything is built upon. It's your vision, your mission, and your core values. It's also what you're selling, whatever product or service you're selling. It's the ideal client that you're selling it to, and it's how you differentiate yourself from the competition. You have to figure out a way to stand out in a sea of sameness to succeed in today's business environment. Your platform is equally important in uncertain times, like right now, as it is when business is booming, or sometimes we like to say when business is blooming. The value, the vision, the mission, and the core values are described like this. The vision, that is your ideal state. It's your Super Bowl. It's where we're going. The vision at Grunder Landscaping Company is to be recognized by our clients, our team members, and experts in our industry as the best landscaping company in our market area. That's where we strive to be. We don't feel we're quite there. We feel we have more work to do. Our marketplace is Dayton and Cincinnati, Ohio. And where we're going, we want to be recognized by our clients, our team members, and other experts as the best landscaping company in our market area. We try to be humble about proclaiming ourselves to be the best. We know that we're only going to be best tomorrow if we keep working on getting better. It's not a destination. It's a journey that you're constantly working on. So vision, where we're going. Vision, where are you going? Where do you aspire to be? If a year from now we were to talk about how your landscaping company was successful, what needs to happen? What would you say about it? That's your vision. Mission, typically a externally communicated statement, where vision, you may or may not share that with your clients. A mission statement, typically we suggest to our clients at the Grow Group that you do make that somewhat public and that you do share that, of course, with your team. And we think it's a good idea to share it with your clients. The mission is what we're going to do to get there. How are we going to get to that vision? We're going to do this. At Grunder Landscaping, we're going to enhance the beauty and value of every client's property while exceeding their expectations every step of the way. The thought process behind a mission statement is that a client could see that and say, give me some of that. I want that. I would love to work with a landscape professional that's going to make my property look great, that's going to add value to it, and is going to exceed my expectations. My goodness, I'd love a contractor just to show up, let alone one that would exceed my expectations. A lot of people are at home right now. Their homes mean something to them. Landscaping may mean more to them in the coming month. So keep that in mind with where you're going with the mission. What do you need to do that would resonate with your clients? And then would your team get behind that? Would a prospective new hire read your mission statement and say, you know what, I like that. I could get into making a property look good. I could get into doing things that make properties worth more money. And I really get excited about delivering great customer service and exceeding client expectations. That's me. Does your mission resonate with your clients and your people? And then finally, and if you wanted to argue that one of these core value, one of these three pillars in this vision, mission, core value was more important than the other two, I would argue that core values are your most important thing. Core values are the how. They're how we're going to behave on the way to achieving our vision while conducting our mission statement. At Grunder Landscaping Company, we have 4 core values. They are quality, leadership, teamwork, and profitability. The most successful companies that we work with in the Grow Group, from companies the size of $1 million to companies the size of $60 million, the core values they have, the beliefs and the behaviors that are present in the organization, it is very obvious that they are present. They hire to them, they fire to them, they act like those core values day in and day out. They are the beliefs and the behaviors that must be present to win. At our company, if you're somebody that does quality work, if you're someone that's a leader, if you're someone that works together well with a team, but for the life of you, you can't do a job that comes in under budgeted hours, and even though we try to work with you and getting you better, you can't make your jobs profitable, you can't work at our company. You have to embrace these 4 core values. If you're someone that doesn't do quality work, but you're a leader, you're fun to work with, and your jobs all come in under hours, but you're not doing quality work, you can't work at our company either. If you're a vendor that doesn't deliver quality service or products to us, and you're not a leader, and you're constantly affecting our profitability with your late deliveries and everything else, we're not going to work with you. So have the context of these 3 things as we go forward. Vision, where do you want to go? Where are you going? Mission, what we're going to do to get there. How are we going to get there is the final part on the core values. How we're going to behave on the way, quality, leadership, teamwork, profitability. We all have core values. It's just whether or not we're being intentional about them on a given day. But we definitely see that in the Grow Group where those things make a difference. Smart business owners continue to do what you said you'd do, especially in this environment. You're being scrutinized. Be who you say you are. Find ways to stand out in a sea of sameness. Be the person that others want to be around. When we talk about doing what you said you would do in this environment, so many of us are looking for that right now. We're looking for someone to take a misstep. Your team, your clients, and your community will remember what you do now. All eyes are on you right now. There's a higher level of scrutiny. Those of you that are doing residential work, if you know, in the coming weeks, it's gonna be something there. In Ohio, where Grunder Landscaping Company is based and taken a very proactive approach to responding to this coronavirus, we want to talk about that. At 11:59 last night, a stay-at-home order went into effect and will remain in place for the next 2 weeks. I want to share with you right now how Grunder Landscaping is responding to this. For those of you who are in cities and states that are also under a stay-at-home order or maybe soon, this is going to help you. And then I'm going to share with you what we did before the order for those who are continue to operate at full capacity. So there should be something in this webinar today for all of you. The Grunder Landscaping Company response to the stay-at-home order that we received that we had to be abide under by last night, shortly before midnight. The Ohio order directs all residents to stay at home until April 7th, save for essential activities and services. You can go for a walk in your neighborhood. You can go to a park. Your kids can't play on the monkey bars. The critical trades are exempted, but landscaping, it was very open. It wasn't addressed one way or another. Yesterday morning, we met for 3 more hours, and the Grunder Landscaping Company leadership team made a decision to shut down for the safety of our employees, our team, our clients, and the community. The factors that went into that decision, it was very tough, folks, but when we did a Ben Franklin, which you put a line up on a piece of paper, you put the pros down the left side, you put the cons down the right side. To us, the cons of staying open outweighed the pros. The personal safety of our team, the safety of the community, our community reputation, the thought that we're operating in a gray area and someone could snap a picture of our trucks working, post it and say, this doesn't look essential to me, potentially call the news. I don't know. I've been in business 36 years. I have always tried to do the right thing, and I didn't want to have a misstep like this play into that. So that played a big factor in this. In talking to our team seemed to have increasing levels of anxiety of working. Part of that, I think, is self-induced by the media and some of the other constant people whispering and yelling in our heads. I get that, but our team was getting nervous about it. Our clients are watching us. We're getting worried about working on client properties. God forbid one of our folks get infected, and then we have to shut down because of that. We have to quarantine. There's just, what do you do? How do you do that? Conversely, how do we handle a product that's growing? The grass is going to need cut soon. How do we do that? Fortunately, in Ohio, the grass didn't need cut yet. We've already been out several weeks ahead of where we were last year, so we felt like we could stomach this. The financial impact was the biggest thing. Obviously, when you shut down 50 people that are at the busiest time of the year, it's not a good thing. And the operations impact, what does that do to just go? Ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, we decided that shutting down was the right thing to do. But I am not here to pass judgment or to tell you that if you've stayed open, you're wrong or you're a bad person. You have to make a decision based on what's right for your company. I can't tell you I made the right decision or our team did. I feel like we did, but I'm not here to cast judgment on you. Your decision should be consistent with who you are as a company. It should go back to that vision, mission, and core values. You should look for ways to stay true to your vision, your mission, and your core values, and be who you are and stand up for who you are. If you are in a state or a city with a stay-at-home order, or if your state or city moves to one in the days ahead, check your state or city government's website, .gov, not .com. Gov means it's an official government website. They tend to have more credibility there, and watch that. And you need to find out if landscaping is considered essential or non-essential where you are. NALP, the National Association for Landscape Professionals, is working to aggregate all of this information too. You can go to landscapeprofessionals.org. NALP does a wonderful job of advocating for all of us landscape professionals, especially in this time of need. The Grow Group recommends that you check out their website for some help. Other parts of the stay-at-home order that I wanted to share with you, in case that this becomes something you have to consider, you're prepared. It is always better to be prepared, folks. The Boy Scouts motto is be prepared. Several years ago, one of my mentors shared a statement. He said, all planning is good. And I can't get that out of my head. When business owners spend time, money, and effort to plan, you greatly improve your chances for success. When you plan, you are being proactive. When you don't plan, you're being reactive. A planner checks the batteries in their smoke detectors. A person running around with their hair on fire doesn't check them, has an accident, and said, gee, I wish I would have spent $10 and took an hour on July 4th to go around and change all the batteries in my smoke detectors. Be proactive, not reactive. We quantified 3 areas: essential people, partial essential, and non-essential. Essential were the folks that we had to have get things done, get the mail, put the checks in the bank, keep the phones answered, keep the emails going, talk to clients that might have concerns, keep some of the back office operations that we have to do. So we've got a limited number of essential people. It's 6.5 is what it is. They're working at home and they're working a little bit at the office, and we identified all the essential tasks and we prepared for the shutdown. The partial essential folks, which is a couple more people, are working from home on Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday, and they get full pay on those above days. They're compensated through unemployment minus pay on a prorated hourly rate. We're also encouraging our team to use paid time off if that's what they decide to do. The non-essential, which is where most of our people fell into, they applied for unemployment. We will continue to pay their insurance premiums. We communicated changes to the team through email, text, private Facebook, and then we personally visited with everyone the other day, Monday, before we closed, and we emailed all of our clients to let them know our shutdown plan and reaffirm our commitment to doing what's right for the community. We currently have approximately 200 jobs sold, and me, Marty Grunder, is personally calling all 200 people in the next 2 weeks to check in and say hello. Tell them thank you for their patience. Tell them thank you for their understanding. To ask them if they're okay. To ask them if they need groceries or anything of the sort. Now is our time to shine, and we have a wonderful opportunity to bond with our clients, and they hopefully will remember this when we come out in the end. Keep that in mind. This is a challenge, but there are wonderful, absolutely wonderful opportunities for you to shine bright during this challenge. 2 weeks ago, well before we decided to shut down, we implemented new and enhanced safety protocols. If you're not doing these things and you're in Arizona or New Mexico or Wyoming and the coronavirus has not impacted you, I strongly encourage you to embrace this. It's probably been talked about on your local news. Closely monitor and follow federal, state, and local guidelines. Take your team members' temperatures when they arrive in the morning. Now, there's been some discussion whether that was legal or not. Again, like Emily said at the start, we're not attorneys. Check with your attorney, be careful. But the governor of Ohio, Governor Mike DeWine, mandated that if you're working, you must take the temperature of your workers. Anyone with a temperature of 100.4 or greater is to be sent home. So keep that in mind. We suspended the use of water coolers and ice machines. We put them all away. We locked the front door to the office, and we prohibited on-site visitors, and we designated a no-touch delivery drop-off away from people. We have bottles and boxes of wipes and everything else that we're wiping down trucks, tablets, laptops, any surface with Lysol wipes after use. And then every 2 hours, there's a rotation of us in the office. We're walking around with a disinfectant spray. We're spraying every door handle, every light switch, every keyboard, everywhere. It sounds silly, but we're doing everything we can. In addition to that, we contracted with a local company that I do some work with in the Grow Group called Made Right. And every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they come with a machine that's a mister. It's called EnviroMist. It's a hospital-grade disinfectant that all of our office and everything gets touched with as well. And then we are practicing frequent and thorough hand washing. We're being very careful. I would venture to say that a lot of this stuff is going to stay on after the coronavirus scare has moved on. A lot of this just makes sense, folks. We're practicing social distancing, and some of this has been wrong. I've seen people holding their hands out to the side, and if somebody can't touch you, the average wingspan of a human, of an American, is somewhere around 5'7" to 6 feet. You got to be about 6 feet away. So be mindful of that. Even though we have these nice big trucks that we drive that you see there on your screen, we're assigning only one person per truck, and what we otherwise would not do, which is allow personal vehicles on a job site, we're asking them to drive themselves to the job, meet us there, and we're reimbursing them for mileage. We have suspended the long embraced trend of leave behind visitation slips and door hangers on the neighbors of properties we're working on to try to generate more work. We've suspended all that. And we have suspended all in-person meetings and training. The training and the meetings that we do is, I saw one of Pacific Landscape's meetings from Portland, Oregon, one of our friends, and a place that we visited with Frank and Marty's excellent adventure a couple years ago. We saw a picture on social media of them doing a meeting around a trailer. That was their conference table. We're doing things like that, and we're getting away from everyone. We're not invading one another's space, and we're being very, very careful. We're staying very true to our core values, ladies and gentlemen, in all that we're doing here. We've kept jobs on schedule, and we continue to do what we told our clients we would do. We ensured our trucks and personal vehicles were not blocking driveways. That's something we're known for. We feel very strongly if Mrs. Smith hired us to do the job, you don't park in front of Mrs. McGillicuddy's house. You be mindful of where you are. And then Seth, our general manager that's pictured there on the right hand of the screen with me, we recorded a video that we sent to all of our clients, letting them know what we were doing to ensure their safety. This was well before the stay-at-home order was offered up by Governor DeWine. And we used technology to meet and communicate with clients and prospects. Very key point there, technology. I thank God for all the work we did the last 2 years in the upgrading of technology at the company. I'm not sure we would be in the situation we're in right now if we didn't have all the technology that Seth has led to install at our company. Continuing to stay true with our core values, we ensured our crews continued to deliver the quality work, and the clients knew exactly what we did on their property and when. We followed up with emails. And we looked for ways to help and support vulnerable clients and community members. The picture you see there on the right-hand side is a very nice job that we designed and installed and maintained for Mrs. Scuns. She is a lovely 79-year-old lady that we've worked for a long time. Her husband passed away 3 years ago. We were very fond of them. Jennifer on our team manages that account, and Jennifer sent me a text after hours the other night, and she said, I just touched base with Mrs. Scuns. I let her know if she needed anything, groceries, help with something, just to tell us, and we would be there. She said, it dawned on me, she's living by herself. I feel bad for her. She's probably isolated. If you're driving down the road, Marty, or you have a minute, why don't you give her a call? Right when Jennifer told me that, light bulbs went off. And I thought about a whole bunch of people that would probably enjoy a call. And if you've noticed on social media, people doing happy hours over Facebook, neighbors gathering on a cul-de-sac, staying 10 feet away from each other, there is some good stuff that's coming from this. Whose day could you make by contacting them today? An athletic director at a local university that I've become close with in the last year. The other night, I'm sitting at my desk at night, sort of feeling sorry for myself, probably like all of you have felt at one point or another about all that we're dealing with right now. And I saw it said Bob Grant. I thought, he must have butt dialed me. Why is he FaceTiming me? So I answered it. He's got a great big smile on his face. And he goes, Marty, how are you? Is everything okay? I just wanted to pick your spirits up a little bit. I'm sure you're dealing with a lot. I'm dealing with a lot over here. You're a positive guy. I thought one positive person could talk to another positive person. And man, did that make me feel good. So I've made a commitment to try to talk to some folks and to keep in touch. Again, ladies and gentlemen, your team, your clients, and your community will remember how you responded to this situation. Sure, there is a lot of things you can get down in the ditch about. I encourage you, I beg you, I plead you to get up out of the ditch, to be positive. Don't sacrifice your future for short-term gains. We talked about platform. Let's move on to people. Your people are crucial to your success, now and always. It is always going to be that way. Your work is not going to get outsourced to Mumbai, India, done and shipped back. It's here to stay. This is an opportunity to foster the kind of workplace and culture that people want to be a part of. People want to be a part of. Your people, listen carefully to any concerns team members may have. Do not reflexively discount any as unfounded or as an overreaction. People feel important when they feel they've been listened to. Listen to them. Keep your team informed with the latest development and changes. There's multiple ways to communicate with them today, thank goodness. Text message, email, internal Facebook page, whatever you want to do, Snapchat. You can share what's going on. On the right side of the screen, I actually recorded a video of the professionals from Made Right in our building spraying an environmentally safe product all over the place. And I said, listen, folks, we're trying to do everything we can, appreciate the great attitudes, let's go. That's a simple thing that you can do, keeping them positive. It's your job, all of us on the call today, the owners and leaders of landscaping company, it's our job to keep morale up. Check in with team members to see how they and their families are doing. Even if you're not shut down now, a phone call, a text, a FaceTime to ask how they're doing. Is everything okay? A little thank you, relating to them that you understand this is tough. Thanks for playing by the rules and washing your hands and doing everything else. Shout out for good work. Call out people that have demonstrated a good attitude. Recognize and look for the type of behaviors that you want in your company. Look out for each other and work to find solutions for those in need. Seth, my general manager, and I, this has been a lot on us the last 2 weeks. When the four of us were meeting our leadership team the other day, we all said how tired we were, that this was a lot. I went into Seth's office at the end of that day and I said, Seth, I think you and I need to talk to each other each day. And at the end of the day, you tell me 2 things that were good that happened today, and I'll tell you the same. And I've since been implementing that with a lot of our coaching clients and our ACEs that Jim and Vince can tell you a little bit more about here in a minute. ACEs are our peer groups, accountability creates excellence. And I've asked them to share with me 2 positives. There is always something good you can find. I would hope in the 20 or so minutes that we've been together so far today, maybe you're realizing you've had yourself stuck in a rut. The only difference between a rut and a grave, ladies and gentlemen, is the depth. Get out of that rut, find what's good in the world, and focus on that. We continue to recruit people in this time of need. At GLC, we have work sold through the next 2.5 months. Prior to the Ohio shutdown, our HR director, Amber, continued to recruit via social media and Indeed, and we have had many applicants as a result of the restaurants and different retail operations that have been shut down. Right now, our H-2B folks are still on the way because we've got a lot of work we want them to do, and we're still hopeful we'll get at least 13 of the 16 H-2B workers, but we are discussing options if we don't. Remember what I said, all planning is good. We talked about platform, we talked about people. Let's transition to processes. Processes enable ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things. Have you ever gone into a McDonald's in a different part of the country and found it really interesting that the quarter pounder with cheese tasted the exact same way? If you have some time over the next couple weeks, maybe spending more time at home, I would strongly encourage you to rent the Founder movie, which is the story of McDonald's. It'll tell you that Ray Kroc really wasn't that nice of a guy, but there's multiple business lessons in there about sticking with things and working hard and processes and not taking no for an answer and getting up off the carpet when you get knocked down. It's a good movie. Don't abandon good processes now, but adapt them to when you need to. Be careful and think through. Create new ones, new processes as the demand arises. You know, at the Grow Group, we like to see processes that don't have so many steps in them, people get confused. Let them be such that someone can do a little thought and move forward on their own. Prior to our shutdown, we told our team there was no room for error or wasting time. We are staying on that. We cannot be fat and sassy with anything right now. It is critical, crucial that we make the most out of the next 2 months. Ladies and gentlemen at Team Grunder, you have got to get to the job and get the work done. We don't get paid to travel. We don't get paid to load. You can't be conversing in the yard in the morning. We have got to get work done. There has to be a level of intensity. We are sticking to these processes. One of the good things that this coronavirus has forced us to do, and despite this unfolding situation, our working team is sticking to our regular meeting schedule using technology. We're meeting digitally using Microsoft Teams and Zoom. At the Grow Group, we've been using some technology for many years. At Grunder, we never had to use technology to meet because everybody gathered at the mothership. We have a conference room. We've got various other places to meet. It's forcing us to adapt quicker and get better faster. I'm broadcasting from my home today. My wife is a kindergarten teacher. We are both 51 years old. Last week, neither one of us really knew how to use Zoom. Now I think I could get with you on the phone and tell you how to use both of them. They're not that difficult. Embrace this as an opportunity. Every challenge is an opportunity. We'll move over to profits, and Vince, I think you're going to help us here, right?
Absolutely, Marty. Thanks for turning it over to me. Hey guys, Vince Torchia, Vice President of the Grow Group. Excited to chat with you all today. Thanks for your time. You know, this fourth pillar that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to throw it over to our executive coach, Jim Cali, is profits. The fundamentals of finance continue to hold true now. As this whole webinar has been about, it's now a time to be smart and keep our cool, right? To plan, not to panic. Finance and profits are such an important component of business. This level of uncertainty really heightens the importance right now. So what I'm excited to talk about, though, is if you can, again, plan, not panic, stay smart through this time, you have such an opportunity to come out of this uncertainty like a rocket ship. This is going to be an equalizer, right? There's a lot of companies that have only known it good, that have only been through good times. If you have gotten a little fat and sassy, a little complacent with your business, you have such an opportunity now to hold the reins in, stay profitable, stay true, and come out of this really winning and succeeding. So let's talk about a couple of those points. Marty, if you could advance a slide for me. Now more than ever, regularly review your numbers and maintain a strong balance sheet. That means daily. Daily on your balance sheet, be looking at cash, be looking at accounts receivable, be looking at accounts payable. It's all about liquidity right now, right? How much cash do I have? Again, things are uncertain, things are tense. The more cash we have, the better we are in control to be in control of our own destiny. So every day, be looking at those things off of your balance sheet. And again, at Grunder right now, they're tracking beyond that, just cash and accounts receivable. What have our canceled contracts been? What did we have out there that we thought was sold for the year that's now canceled? That really impacts our budget and our decision-making for the rest of the year. So we better know that. And it's not just, oh yeah, owners and managers know that. Everybody needs to understand that. As Marty mentioned right now, if you're continuing to do work and it's business as usual for you, you have to continue the basics of tracking your hours. What did we bid this job for? What was our budget on this job? And how many hours have we worked compared to our budget? Again, at times of uncertainty, direct labor becomes a huge expense that we can control, maintain, and succeed with. It's all about that hourly efficiency in times of uncertainty like this. They're also checking their backlog. Hey, we already know 2020 is going to be different than 2019, but let's have a frame of reference. Let's talk about where we were. How much work did we sell March 24th of 2019 for the rest of the year versus now? We've got to have something to help keep us in line and keep us on track for where we want to be. So backlog at Grunder is what have we sold that we still have to produce? What is out there in our world that we have sold already, that we have contracts on, that we still have to produce? Hopefully you're still booked through June. Hopefully you still have work on the books for July and August. If you don't, now's the time to look not only at the present, but out a little bit into the future and think, okay, I need to get work sold for the year to keep my schedule on track. Let's try to compare it to last year as best we can. And finally, what is our budget going to do this year? What are the what ifs that I need to play in my head? What if we reduce sales by 20%? What if we reduce sales by 10%? Really, the big components of your budget are sales, cost of goods sold, and overhead. Those all need to be working in tandem and balance with each other. So if our sales are down and our cost of goods sold, what it costs us to produce those sales, are going up, we need to balance that out. Where can we reduce costs in overhead? Where can we find ways, again, to just tighten up, not go crazy and cut every single thing in our business, because I'm with Marty, right? This is temporary. We're going to get through this. But where can we tighten some things up to help balance out some of the movement we might see on our sales budget? And again, if you've been tracking it, the S&P, the Dow, the NASDAQ, all these things are really volatile right now, which just means that homeowners and business owners are going to be tight with making decisions for right now. So again, continue to watch those leading indicators in the economy. They translate right into our industry. Like many of you know, you could probably track your sales growth pretty much right on track with the S&P 500, right? So as the market slows this volatility in the coming weeks, again, this is all about being prepared to come out of this roaring, ready to go with some cash in the bank, ready to go execute on the rest of the year. A ton of opportunity is here for you, again, if we can just get through these uncertain weeks by planning and not panicking. And again, we've seen a lot of people throw out a lot of different information over the last couple of weeks about what to do. It's our position right now, let's not use all of our cash to pay off debts. Let's not be looking at our long-term liabilities on our balance sheet, right? Let's talk about what do we need to do today? What do we need to do this month to maintain our liquidity? Keep a line of credit. That's why you have it for times like this. It's always a good practice to have about 2 times your payroll in available cash to use. If you can have 2 months of operating expenses, even better. But have that number in your head. What is your payroll on a weekly or biweekly basis? Multiply that by 2, right? Or multiply that by 4 if it's every week. What is our payroll? Do we have enough to cover a month of it? That's the goal that we're going to get at. Can we have that? So again, whether it's a line of credit or cash, however you're going to do that, try to maintain a healthy level there. And for those of us, let's keep business as usual. No reason to not be invoicing clients right now. No reason to get out of our routine. You've got to eliminate some of that unnecessary stigma around the fact of, well, I don't want a client to get a bill from me right now with all this uncertainty. If you're doing work for them, they've agreed to it, right? So we're going to continue business as usual, especially if we're in different climates where we are really not under any sort of shutdown right now, although there could be one coming. We've got to get these invoices out so that we can collect them. Everybody knows the longer an invoice goes behind work, the harder it is to collect for it. So just stay in your routine. This is business as usual. It's what a business does, how a business operates. If you've agreed to services and you've been servicing people, they're going to expect to get a payment from you. And finally, let's just talk about reducing unnecessary expenses. Again, this is not a time to hit the panic button. You've made a lot of good investments in your company over these last healthy years. Don't undo all that investment by cutting things or drawing a line in the sand and saying, hey, we're not going to do anything beyond this, right? We've got to be a little flexible here. Some good things to do are look at things that are just the little drips every month that happens. You know, Jim Cali, our executive coach, talks about like going to Target. You know, you go to Target for a couple things and all of a sudden you walk out, you spend $65, you don't even know how you did it. There's things in your business that have just always been there, and it's time to look at those expenses. For example, we had a Wall Street Journal we were subscribing to. It was like $50 a month. We could reduce that and get it for 10 on digital if we really wanted it. We found out we had 2 Amazon Prime accounts that we were paying for every year. We don't need 2 Amazon Prime accounts. There's extra licenses that people have for software, or Microsoft Word or Adobe or things like that that just kind of pile up inside. And it's $15 a month here, it's $20 a month there, it's $100 a month on this thing. Those add up to be a lot in aggregate. So can we look at those recurring transactions that we might have just turned on and kind of forgot to turn off? A nice way to look at it. And then finally, invest in new tools and equipment with caution, right? Rates are low right now. We're not sure what's going to happen with those. Some people could be hurting and maybe they want to sell off some of their equipment that, you know, they might not need right now. There could be opportunities, right, to get things for a bargain, but not at the expense of the uncertainty right now. So if you're investing in new tools, new equipment, new software, things like that, it's got to make sense for the overall picture of your business. Not, oh, I'm just going to get this because it's a great deal, because you still have to pay for it. So again, as you're going through these times, plan, don't panic, have a plan for your profits. If you've never really dug into your numbers, now is the perfect time to do that. Marty, why don't you take it away with a couple other slides, and then we'll throw it over to Jim.
Thank you, Vince. That was fantastic. And you're absolutely right. There is a ton of opportunity. My favorite thing that you said there was to prepare yourself to come out of this like a rocket ship. And that is what happened to people after 9/11. That's what happened to people after 2008, 2009. Those that made the steps up front came out of that flying. Those that didn't, did not. You still need to be hiring thoughtfully. We don't settle for things. We're very careful. Thoughtfully in terms of quantity and thoughtfully in terms of quality. If you have an opportunity to bring on a fantastic team leader that's better than any team leader you have, give it thoughtful consideration right now. This is an opportunity for us to get better in all that we do. Be careful about what you're doing with hiring. Document everything that you do. There is some likelihood that the government is going to help us here with this at a very high level. It would be a shame if some of that stuff materializes and you haven't documented all of your expenses and costs and you can't recapture them. Also, it would be terrible if someone accused you of not appropriately protecting your employees or the community, and you have all the things that you're doing. Document those. Take pictures. It's always smart to document. Ladies and gentlemen, stay positive. I can't stress that enough. This too shall pass, and we will get through it together. I promise you. One of the coolest people that I've ever met is Jim Cali. He's one of our executive coaches at the Grow Group, and him and his partner, Jason New, along with myself, Chris Penchek, and Vince, all help coach the owners and leadership teams of landscaping companies to new heights. I'm going to turn it over to Jim, and Jim's going to share some of the lessons he's learned in the last few weeks as we work with our clients to help them get better. Jim?
Hey, Marty, thank you for that. Yeah, we've been talking to all our clients, of course, over the past, I would say 2 weeks at this point, and specifically with our peer groups, one-on-ones, and things like that over the past 10 days. I'll say the first thing is that the continued communication amongst those groups, whether it's amongst themselves as groups or whether we're in diving in and helping them, it's been amazing. And so captured some notes that I'd like to share on today's call, items that I know everyone can grab a hold of and be inspired by and continue to march on with. So I'll start off in one of our clients in Denver, Colorado, sold a job via video, sold it actually via the GoToMeeting, and he sold a $150,000 job on our Friday night and got his deposit check on Tuesday. Still moving forward. That same company has been using Microsoft Teams internally and then using GoToMeeting externally, because Microsoft Teams has to be internally held at this point, or you risk some exposure outside of the internal group. The best story is a client in Indianapolis who has the virtual project estimate on his social media page on Facebook and LinkedIn and others, where he's asking people to, like, we're conducting business while keeping our distance, or they ask for, a form to fill out, a video, a survey, and a planned time to talk, and they'll get back to you. And once again, it's asking for the business, but that's a good reason. Conducting business while keeping our distance. Love it. Another team down in Houston is cold calling and winning jobs. They wanted $200,000, or they're intending on winning a $200,000 maintenance job this week. The ironic part is the sales team does very little cold calling. They're calling some of their contacts that they've had in the past and just following up. And ironically, people are answering their phones right now. So staying in touch. The grass is certainly growing in the south and will be growing up north soon. You might have an opportunity to catch those guys now and be able to move something forward and ask, even if they have a challenge, we could step in and help you along the way. At least you're reaching out. Client out in Seattle, they've been really shut down for about 4 weeks at this point, not from a company perspective, but in regards to the city. They were the original epicenter, is saying the phones are ringing off the hook. He said that last week, and he told us that again yesterday. The high-tech employees are looking at the yard, and they want more. They want to look outside at bigger and better things, and believe it or not, they want it now. So he's actually implemented the video piece that he learned from us and is asking people to send videos. He doesn't have it specifically on his website, but he's doing his best to get designs together, and his backlog is building. Another client out in Sacramento has set expectation for these sales meetings when they're happening. If you are going out to the houses, but a letter goes out and saying that we'll maintain distance of 6 to 10 feet, that the meetings are all going to be outside, and any materials that need to be handed to us, if you could do that electronically, that would be very helpful. Another client in Denver, Colorado, we built budgets last week for a shutdown of 1 month or 2 months to figure out cash flow and also no H-2Bs. Although we feel if the no H-2Bs happen, if they do shut the border down for that reason, we have little fear that the service employees won't be able to fill in for those H-2Bs at this point. Client in Los Alamos, New Mexico mentioned that they started hiring oil field guys about 6 weeks ago because the oil fields were cutting back. And another client in Oklahoma City said that back in 2008, that the oil field guys were the best employees ever had. Of course, those guys went away once the markets tightened. But in an opportune moment, and you need people to get the work done, try looking for the oil field guys that may be looking for work. Client out in North Carolina, the coast of North Carolina, is doing one-day tryouts. So he interviewed last week 3 service employees out of restaurants, and actually 2 of the 3 made it, and he's paying them with gift cards at the end of the day. Another client in Auburn, Alabama, had their big kickoff, and it's been planned for a while last Wednesday for the spring. And what they decided to do is they canceled the party, but they had a taco truck come to the office, and they maintained their social distance. But the best part here is that they were supporting a local small business all at the same time and keeping, marching forward with what the work needs to be done. And they were able to celebrate and do so at a big distance. The pictures online were quite hilarious of them having a good time with the taco truck. Operationally, staggered start times. I know that's something that you did, Marty, at Grunder Landscape Company, and that, having one crew at 7, 7:30, another one at 8. People traveling in separate trucks in Denver, Colorado, once again, so the foreman travels with the truck and the crew may meet them. Some companies are doing this, some are offering it, and it's really up to the team. But the bigger thing that we learned last week for a company out of Washington, D.C. is to make sure that you're not moving people amongst crews. Specifically, if somebody was to get the virus, you'll take a crew down and not multiple crews. We have some clients that are taking temperatures of team members before starting, which is a very effective one. We've got a client in Atlanta, Georgia, who had a foreman that was really nervous about coming to work. And specifically when he dove into it is because his elderly mother happened to live with him. And when they offered an opportunity for the foreman to stay at the office, it was like a new day for this gentleman. He's very excited about having a place to stay and not having to possibly infect his mother. I thought that was a really great story. Communicate to your teams. This came out of Washington, D.C., that you need to stay healthy. We all need to work and do your best to maintain health. The onus is on all of us, not just the employer. So making sure that we're communicating that they need to stay healthy as well. Client out in San Diego, California is carrying all the NALP documents in their trucks about being an essential business, but they're also carrying the California documents from the California Landscape Association too, as an effective manner if somebody was to come up to them and say question their essential status. Next, the company in Salt Lake City that we work with is talking about planning his vacation with his family. And this really struck a chord with everybody because we're always talking about the past, the present, and the future. We coach always to cover the past, cover the present, cover the future in your one-on-ones. Basically what that means is what did you do last week, what are you doing this week, and what are you doing 2 weeks out? No different than with your families at home for vacations that may be getting canceled. Spend some time figuring out where you're going to go next. Talking about the future, not only in your family, but in your team, builds trust. It's a true sign of leadership. So making sure that you're continuing to think and look to the future as that will build hope for everybody on the team. We have a team up in Connecticut that's sending one person to the grocery store for everybody in the office. So they're compiling grocery lists and possibly, only sending one person into harm's way as opposed to putting 6 people in harm's way for the 6 people that work inside that office. I thought that was a pretty clever idea. We've got friends in the building that we work at Ernst & Young, and they're having happy hours via video conference once a week. So maybe if you're not together with your teams, you should plan a video happy hour with your team via, Zoom or GoToMeeting like we discussed. I think it would be fun, but think about how you can keep the team together and smiling and laughing and enjoying things. Team up in Northern New York is saying he's keeping his eye on everything in the next 3 to 5 years. And he keeps talking about this, and messaging is everything to his team. Lots of work to do, lots of money to make for all of us as they've got a profit share in place, but making sure they're keeping the eye, not today, not even 6 months, but he's talking 3 to 5 years. We've got a team down in San Antonio, outside of San Antonio, is talking about we're going to win big or we're going to win big. And that's the message everybody's carrying down there. And last but not least, we're starting peer groups this week. We were supposed to be in New Orleans, and we're going to use Zoom to conduct all of our onboarding of our traditional accountability groups starting tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So we're staying the course. It's just a total sign of leadership as you go forward, is do as much as you can do to stay the course while not infecting anyone or affecting anyone, I guess you'd say, Marty. So anyway, that's the stories for now.
Jim, those are fantastic, motivating to hear, educational. My 2 favorite ones are the client that we have in Atlanta that let an employee stay at their shop, and then planning a vacation, looking forward. Those were all great ones, but those 2 ring true with me because that just speaks to the human side of this. You'll never go wrong addressing the human side of things in your business. We hope in a small way we helped you there. And Emily, I think if we have some questions, Vince, Jim, and myself would be happy to try to help some more people.
Yes, we certainly have some questions. You ready for the first one?
Go ahead.
Okay, this one is from John in Maine. He asked, we had planned on making upgrades to our fleet and purchasing a few mowers, a truck, and various other material handling and compaction equipment. We don't need any of this, but we budgeted for it because it'll increase our efficiencies. At this point, they've delayed these purchases, but he's struggling with the decision because the retraction on spending is what can hurt the economy. What are your thoughts?
I think I'll ask Vince and Jim to help with me start this, and I'll wrap it up on the end with my thoughts. Vince and Jim, what is your answer to that?
Jim, just really quick, Marty speaks to the human side of things. What a thoughtful guy to think about, hey, I want to inject money back into the economy right at a time like this. And it's a great attitude to have towards this, right? Don't we want all of our clients, vendors, and friends thinking in that same way? But again, kind of back to what I said right now, I'd be cautious. It's hard to know the specific situation without knowing the numbers and knowing the math. If he's budgeted it and he's got a contingency plan for it, again, this too shall pass, as you said, Marty. So I'm okay with investing in equipment as long as we're being cautious and understanding what our schedule is for meeting these cash requirements on a monthly basis and how that affects our team. Again, I'm not afraid of that as long as we've got the plan in place and we're continuing to monitor it.
Jim?
Only thing I'd add to that is, you know, people are like, I budgeted for this and I don't want to slow down the economy. And yesterday we actually had the same question. And the truth of this is you can spend the money in December just as good today if you're running off of budgets anyway. And like you mentioned yesterday, Marty, there might be a heck of a deal here in 60 days. So we will be able to move this along. But the flip side of this is I totally appreciate you not wanting to pull back at this point, but I would still hold tight for 30 to 60 days before I would make any decisions.
Yeah, I agree. I would tap the brakes on that. That equipment's not going to go away. You might even get a better deal. I think the prudent thing to do is wait and see what happens and keep your powder dry. You know, it's always prudent there. Emily, another question?
Yes. Okay. This one is similar. So this is from Mike. He had planned on expanding exponentially, and they have already purchased new vehicles and equipment in February and March. This past weekend, they had clients cancel work on them from the uncertainty. They're still getting new leads and selling, but should they try to dump the assets now or weather the storm? They do have a plan to cover the debt service even on a reduced budget.
I'll respond here and then let Vince and Jim. If they already have a plan, I wouldn't dump the assets. I mean, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, even 10 days ago, we wouldn't even been worrying about this. How things changed. The stock market went up some today. You know, we may get on the other side of this. So, I think I'd tap the brakes on that and, you know, be prudent and wait a little bit. Jim and Vince, comments?
I would just say no knee jerking, stay the course.
Yeah.
Right. Completely agree. If you've got a plan for it and got the budget in place to cover it regarding whatever happens, good. Stay the course. Business as usual.
Thank you, gentlemen. Emily, next question.
Yes. Okay. This one is from Tim. How are you handling a scenario if you are allowed to work compared to how the public perceives it? Does the public think you don't care about the public's health, et cetera? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to chime in here first, Marty. And I think you're going to
go ahead.
This, but you know, after Hurricane Katrina, not cutting grass prevented a large health hazard and was one of the biggest issues outside of swimming pools in New Orleans that remained after the city was shut down. I do believe this will be a larger health concern once the grass is growing, you know, faster in your markets. Now, Marty, I know you've got some of the social pressure, so I'll let you add on to that.
Yeah. So, you know, we don't have to cut grass here yet. So that's not an issue. But I already heard a story today in Dayton of a contractor getting shut down by the sheriff because he wasn't supposed to be out working. And I don't want anything like that to happen to me. So the pressure there of doing the things that are for health, the cleaning up of litter, the pest control, the other stuff, I think that makes a lot of sense. And you just got to be careful. I mean, I've been in business 36 years. I don't need 2 weeks of badness to affect what I've done so well for the 35 years and 10 months prior. So I would be careful what you're doing, but at the end of the day, I mean, you got to do what you got to do to live. Vince?
Yeah, certainly. And businesses that are essential, we have some clients also that are choosing to work on certain properties and not others. Some that maybe are less visible or they feel will bring less of that social stigma to them, where maybe they're on commercial sites where it's people that are working from home right now and they can go do that work where, you know, piling up trucks in someone's neighborhood might not look good right now. So there is some selectivity that you can apply to this as well, again, to help ease that stigma.
The only thing I'll add to that, Vince, is that the social stigma in Dallas, Texas, even though we're on shutdown, is not there. And what I mean by that is that the feedback we work with over 12 clients here in Dallas has been that people are really excited that people are showing up to the properties and some things are moving along and that the clients are able to see the work being created in their gardens as well as on some of the commercial sites. I mean, just a comment yesterday that I made was, you know, talked to Chase Mullen in New Orleans. Tulane University has shut down all access to the campus and no construction can take place. And I can tell you, I'm looking outside of my window in Dallas, Texas, and Southern Methodist has never had so many contractors on site before. They're taking advantage of it. So it just depends market by market, but I would not say it's a social stigma necessarily. In some places, it might be the right thing to do.
Yep, it's a great point.
Yeah, it's case by case, and we're not here to judge, man. We're just trying to give you solutions and help you plan better. So you just got to be careful and think it through. Other question, Emily?
Yep. So Tanner asked if you could share some of the pros that your team considered for staying open versus closing. What was on the pro side when you were considering
Well,
that?
obviously the financial ramifications for both the company and all of our team. The other pros, some of the things that Jim said, I mean, we've had clients love it when we come out. I mean, I love it when our crew comes to my house. So those were the pros. The mental side of it, like what it's going to be like to shut down. We've been in our current location for 27 years. For 27 years, I've gotten up in the morning and driven over there. I can't remember the last time. I don't think I ever have. I think this is the first time I ever went straight into my home office and not went into work first. So, you know, those are all some of the pros that we looked at. So.
Great. And Marty, kind of while you're on that topic, you are working from home now. How are you staying on schedule and staying focused even without going into the office?
Yeah. So last year, I actually didn't have an office at the landscaping company for about 6 months. I would go in, work in a conference room, work in a office, and I just found that I didn't like it. So I ended up, because of the implementation of Aspire software and some of the other technology that we work on, we were able to eliminate some positions. And I now have a, albeit quaint office that Jim and Vince have seen several times. We call it Cell Block G. I found when I was doing that last year, Emily, that I had to prepare like I was going into work. So last night, before this all got shut down, I planned out my day today. I got up at my regular time. I took a shower. I do have on comfortable pants, not dress pants. And I went in my office and I started working, and I'm following my to-do list that I wrote out last night. I think it's a mistake if you end up having to work from home to just wander and let the day get away. But this is the same story whether you're working from home or you're going into the office. The best days you will have are always the days that you planned. Again, back to that adage, all planning is good. Jim or Vince, do you have any time management or focus tips you use?
I'm just going to tell you to stay the course. I mean, I'm following my calendar to the letter, and that's what I'm doing. My calendar is as full as it's ever been. And if you're looking for something to do, I think, Marty, you talked about earlier in your call that you're calling every one of your clients. You can fill this time up. Lay it out, give yourself a timeline. If you've got, 200 clients, let's get done 100 a week. 5, that's 20 a day. I mean, let's just chop it up in meaningful pieces. And I would tell you, if we get to go back to work sooner, I still wouldn't forget that last 100 to call. Make sure you get through the list and stay the course.
Exactly. Amen.
I think the only thing I want to add too is keep in touch with your team members, right? There's a human side of this, as Marty said, that's very important. So just because we're all working from home, there's got to be something we can do. I was on a video chat this morning with Jim. It was good to see his face, good to talk with him, even though he's in Dallas and I'm in Cincinnati. And we can do that anyways, right? So keep your team's human side in control of this, again, with video chat, conference calls, staying in good communication that way.
And make it fun. If you got a Halloween mask, put it on one day and take the call like that. Do things that get people to laugh. When one of my favorite airlines to fly is Southwest. They make a very stressful thing fun most of the time by injecting humor into it. So, we don't want to be a joker all the time, but I think a little bit of fun right now would go a long way. Emily, how many more?
Quite a few. So everybody, we are at 4 o'clock. We'll keep going with the questions if you want to stay with us. Marty, the next one is from James. He is asking, how are you handling paying your salaried employees during the two-week shutdown?
So we told them to go to the unemployment office is what we did. We also encouraged them. Almost all of our people have paid time off. We encouraged them to use that. And we just let them know we're not going to abandon them. We have a long history of doing what we said we would do with our team. And I believe we have a lot of trust. Amber, our office manager and HR manager, is a dynamo. People matter to me. They matter to all of us. That was the main reason we decided to shut down, was we don't need anybody getting sick. We don't even want to deal with that. So I think it has to do with the relationships that we've worked with our people. We have numerous people that have been with us 20 years or longer, a whole slew 10 years or longer. And when you have a culture like that, I think you get the benefit of the doubt some. So, you know, that's how we're doing it. Tell the truth, be honest, be upfront. Don't tell them things you can't do. Give them so much information that they know you're being square with them and they can't backfill with innuendos. And I think you have a pretty good shot of coming out this in good shape. By the way, I should add, I plan on calling every single one of my team as well. They'll get a call or a text message from me to see how they're doing. I want to stay true to that. I care about them.
Great. Okay, this one is from Bob. If we have certain team members, this is a great question. If we have certain team members that are not consistently following, hang on, let me, who are not consistently following protocol like social distancing, sanitizing, washing hands, would you recommend we send them home, lay them off, dismiss them completely? How would you handle that situation?
I would start by sending them home. If you've told them and they still can't do it, that's enough. This is a serious matter that needs to be dealt with in a serious way. I don't have any patience for that, and I don't put up with it. And it's not just with social distancing and hygiene. That's how we run Grunder. We run a tight ship, and we just don't put up with that stuff. Jim and Vince, do you have another perspective to share?
I agree.
I agree 100%. Not a time to be messing around with this. If you've got A, B, C, and D players and you want to thin the herd, if that sounds bad with D players, maybe that's an opportunity to do it.
Okay, this is from Mike in Texas. How should we be handling the work that we do have? Should we be trying to hurry through our current job board to generate cash, or should we be pacing it out to keep a steady flow of work through this?
Jim, what's your perspective there on that question? Jim? Maybe we lost Jim. I don't know that I'd be in a hurry to blow through work and use overtime at it. I think I would methodically go through the work and be careful, but I don't know that I would necessarily be rushing through things. You know, if your backlog is continuing to get added to, I think it's okay to, you want to do a little overtime and stuff like that, but I would be really careful right now with going too crazy with that.
I would agree with you 100%, Marty. I'm sorry back here. That maintain to the 40, because that's what the obligation is at this point, and I think nobody's expectation should be on that. The fact that you're working to begin with is a big deal.
Yeah, well said. Good point there.
Okay, this is another great question from Kendra in Wisconsin. Do you have a plan to quarantine your H-2B workers when they do arrive? And then also, do you know how you'll be handling their compensation if they arrive before you have work for them to do?
So I don't, that's something we may have to get an answer and send out as a follow-up. I'm assuming that United States Immigration is doing something there. When they arrive into our place, they will be under the same parameters that every other Grunder Landscaping Company team member is. We'll be taking their temperature. We'll be expecting them to practice the hygiene, the social distancing, all that. So we will train them through that. And, you know, I know my folks will do a great job with that like they always do, but there won't be anything, you know, they'll be treated just like everyone else. And I'm assuming that immigration will handle that appropriately. That's a great question that probably everyone else is thinking of that's going to want the answer to as well. So I'll try to get an answer that we send out on that one, Emily. I'm a little stumped by that one.
Okay. This next one is from Michael in New York. They are designated as an essential service even through their stay-at-home orders. We are out working again, but now he's concerned that customers will be paying even later than usual. How can he combat that?
Can you run that by me again, Emily, one more time?
Yes. So Michael in New York, they are designated as an essential service. They're working again now, but he's worried that their
No, I'm going to be staying. And they're looking for opportunities to tear you down. But that's different than, Marty, if you were that player sitting in Tampa, Florida. So I would stay the course at this point because you've got the government support behind you. I mean, a cocktail party conversation is certainly harder to deal with after the fact. That can tear you down faster than anything else. But the flip side is to make sure who we're doing work with.
What if they're slow to pay though? What about that part? What if they're not paying you? What do you do?
I'd hold tight because I would say that other people will be paying you. Certainly, yes.
Yeah, to me, it's business as usual. We're going to get a deposit up front. We've got a business to run. You know, we hear this all the time at the Grow Group from ACEs and companies that we go in to coach. And it really is remarkable. Once we start working with them, their receivable issues go down as well because it's expectations up front that are set and clarified. Most normal human beings on a commercial or a residential project know that if service is rendered, I have to pay for it. So again, Vince said this earlier, don't be bashful about the invoice and go over and get paid. I'm not quite sure how else to answer that. I know there's concerns with this, probably on the commercial sector more. You got to be mindful. Don't let people get too strung out, and the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yeah, Marty, I was going to mention communication. Jim said it yesterday and we were on a call, but you just got to communicate with your clients, right? And be in front of them, stay the course, treat it as anybody else that's paying. And again, you've done services for them. They knew that. You expect to be paid for it.
Go ahead, Emily. How about a couple more and we'll let everybody get back to rocking and rolling and hopefully we've helped them.
Yes, why don't we do two more? And I do have a lot more questions from everyone, so we will compile them and we can send out some answers in the follow-up email as well.
Awesome.
This one is asking, what strategies can we take to ensure new business is coming in when many clients and communities are practicing social isolation?
So it has been amazing. I've done about 25 phone calls today between calling clients in the Grow Group and calling clients at the landscaping company. I have gotten through to everybody other than 3 of them, and people wanted to talk. So when you're talking to someone, you're building a relationship. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. I think the old-fashioned piece of technology of phone is probably your greatest selling weapon right now. You can call them, you could talk to them, you could say, listen, we're trying hard to overcome this. Would you mind if I walked your yard and gave you a quote for things I see that we could do? You know, they might actually like a little human interaction, even if it's through a window from 10 feet away, or you send them an email. So I would not lay back right now. I would try to push as much as you can. Now, I know there may be some issues, like I haven't heard any stories, and it's only been a day, of traveling salesmen getting stopped on the road and people asking why they're there. So that may be something to think of, but I would hustle is what I would do. Jim?
Marty, the only thing I would add to that is when I was talking about the best practices, you know, doing the virtual project estimates, asking through social
right, there you go.
platforms about let's conduct business while keeping our distance. Ask for the name,
right.
video, survey, and a planned time to talk, and you can get a great overview of between you know, Google Maps and all that stuff, and the information they provide you to be able to have a great conversation you're discussing. You might not even have to be on their lawn.
Right. Amen. Great point. Emily, last question.
Final question. Riley from Montana would like to know what similarities you see in the economy between now and 2008 and 2009, and then what opportunities you expect to see when we are through this.
So that is a fantastic question. Riley, you're smart. The similarities between the two is just the scared and the uncertainty, the market drop, that stuff. It's different in that, like I said before, in 2008, the banks weren't stable. Now they are. Vince, what's some input you have on the similarities? You've studied this pretty intently.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. That was institutional failure, right? And failure is the key word there. Is we had institutions that have been around forever fail within 2 weeks because of bad lending practices, because of a housing bubble. All of these factors really centered in on one thing, and we didn't know what the fallout was going to be. This is external to all that. This was not in anybody's economic forum for 2020. No one read a prospectus last year and was like, well, there could be a coronavirus in the middle of the year, and we couldn't do business that way. So this is something that is temporary. That's the biggest difference that I see, is that we will get through this. We will be on the other side of this. This is not institutional failure. This is not going to disrupt, capitalism cycles over the next 10 years. We will get through this. And I just have this feeling that when these days come that we get back to normalcy, people cannot wait to go out to bars and restaurants. They cannot wait to enjoy their properties. They cannot wait to be social with other people. All the things that we're taking for granted right now are going to boom when this comes out. So we got to be ready for it.
And there's capital. Go ahead, Jim.
More from the practicality, the landscape side of things, and running a firm back in that time period, was that our enhancements went through off the charts. And that's because the clientele was spending a lot more time locally on their properties to improve things because they were spending much more time at home. Now, that's the residential side of things. And they also paid enough attention to make sure they were hiring the right maintenance provider during this time period too. So I will tell you, we grew our maintenance and enhancement revenue nonstop in 08 and 09 because of, attention to detail, making sure our communication was right. And I think there's a great opportunity that that's exactly the same thing that's going to happen this time. So make sure you're communicating, you're getting communicating.
And I can tell you one thing that won't work, doing nothing. Just sitting back and letting all this stuff happen to you. Be proactive, not reactive. I hope in a small way we helped the several hundred landscape professionals that joined us today. I can't stress enough that your attitude determines your altitude. Stay positive. This too shall pass, and we will get through it together. If the Grow Group can help you in any way, form, or shape, give us a call. We're available on several platforms. We encourage you to follow us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I'll turn it back over to Emily to wrap it up.
Marty, I think you covered it. If you do have additional questions after this ends, feel free to send them to us. You can send us a direct message on any of our social media channels or send us an email at grow@growgroupinc.com. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.